Hi, everybody. Yeah, I know. I'm in the same clothes as the other day, and I'm not all that worried about it. It's been cold, so I'm not really all that worried about it. Is anybody out there besides me?
So I'm not really all that worried about it. Is anybody out
Come on,
there?
laptop, turn the volume off. There we go. Hey, Katie. Hugs, sweetie. I know how hard it is to lose a fur baby. Even little squealy ones like guinea pigs. So, hi, Nettie. Yeah, I know. I'm in the same sweat fleece pullover and hat, but this hat keeps my ears warm. It's the only one I have that has anything that comes down to keep my ears warm. So I thought I'd pop on and give you guys an update. I need to move that up a little bit because I didn't. There we go. Now I could see the chat. I didn't do what I usually do, and I didn't flip my laptop down here. So I figured give you guys an update. I give it a minute or two to get a few more people here. Tammy, he did what he could. The problem is that there's no pump. The heater runs 15 minutes and then shuts itself off. And then after about 5 minutes, it'll start up again. It's been running constantly since 4 this afternoon doing that. And that's the best we got, but it's something. The problem is it's only something to 6 radiators. Yeah. So, oh my. I know Katie's had a rough day today. I've had a rough day today. Carrie's friend has had a rough day today. So, is everybody else doing okay? Or has this just been a rough day across the country? Where did I put my tea? I don't know how well this is going to work. I've run out of, I have usually been using, because a friend sent me like scads of it, this Yogi honey chai turmeric vitality. But the turmeric in it tastes really good. And the turmeric in it really seems to help all the aches from the arthritis and from the knee, because turmeric's a really good anti-inflammatory, but I don't have any more. So I tried to make my own. I'm not sure I succeeded. This doesn't look like that. Oh well, it's still got turmeric in it. I just literally took the container out of the pantry and just dumped some in with a chai tea bag. We'll see how well this works. Hi, Tia Fane. Tia Fane, honey, you have not been forgotten about that photo album. It's just been very rough here. And today I've just the depression and the cold hit me today. And I finally, after they left at like by 6 o'clock, I was so cold and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go lay down with the heating pad. And I woke up. I did set the alarm. No, I set the alarm for 6. I woke up to set the alarm, went and used the bathroom, went back into my bedroom, sat on the end of the bed, and that's all I remember until 8:30. So, yeah. Oh, Grace, you too? Yeah, change of scenery would be nice. My change of scenery, I want to see my snowdrops come up. They haven't bloomed yet. They're only about that high. Way out in the back part of the yard, there's a couple of daffodils that are already creeping up. I can't wait. I can't wait to see Lily of the Valley in the spring. I really can't wait to smell that. Oh, so, but we're all coping. And as far as I'm concerned, in spite of this, so far 2021 has still been better than 2020. I don't have a bandage on anything. Yeah, my knee goes out. I'm having trouble walking. I've got to sleep with a heating pad on that knee now. But that heating pad underneath wool blankets, it's keeping me warm. You know, the only real physical problem I've had today is that my kid cooked. And my kid cooked and put a giant friggin' green pepper into the last two meals he cooked. And I didn't know it. And I can't eat green pepper, not a lot of it. And his green peppers that he bought are massive. They're huge. And he used a whole one between two dishes. And I have had such acid today. It's killing me. So, the premium cracker tin, I've been trying to make up my mind if this should be in Thursday's live sale or go on to eBay. Now on eBay they run anywhere between $20 and $24. It's an older one, but one of the reasons that it's worth so much is that one side is in Spanish. It was one of the first times they'd ever done that. And it was I was trying to get a date for it. I like the fact that it says Regulation Pennsylvania Department of Agriculture, but it's got the PENNA abbreviation for Pennsylvania. So that's before they started doing the two-letter ones. So I think I may put it in on Thursday as an offer up. Oh, Teophane, some people can't handle eggplant because eggplant is just like tomatoes. It's part of the nightshade family. I have a real problem with anything that creates acid. I grow lovage, though my lovage plant got run over when they came and cut down a tree. I don't have a garden left out there because we had to dismantle the whole vegetable garden for them to get the truck in when they took the tree down. Eggplant and tomatoes are part of the nightshade family, and some people can't handle some of the enzymes that are in the eggplant. And for me, I can't handle stuff that deals with acid, like green pepper, celery, and I can't do too much raw red tomatoes, so I tend to grow yellow ones. So, the repairman. Well, the first one looked at it and went, how the hell did it last this long? He was a young guy, and he just looked at it and he thought it was a miracle that it was even running. So, because it last night, this is the power of prayer, guys. So last night it got so windy here, and wind in this house is a bad thing. When it's cold wind outside, it does still, we haven't gotten everything set. It still sucks the heat out of this place. So I thought, well, let me give it a try. And so I turned the thermostat back on, and I heard it buzz. It was trying to start. So I went down and I had to hit the reset button, but it started. It hasn't started in days, but it started. And so it ran last night, but it never got the house more than with the wind and it dropping to 20 degrees, it never got the house above 50 last night. Even now, the house is up to 59, but we've had to do some things to get it there. So they're putting in the paperwork, and I'll know in 3 or 4 days if they approve it for them to replace the heater. And he said, and then they'll, depending on income and a couple of other variables, then they will let me know if they're going to replace it, and 2, if I have to put anything up front towards it. So that'll be in 3 or 4 days. Now, the only thing that is getting any heat at all is through sheer gravity, and because it's the line closest to and the smaller of the big loops for the water for the radiators. So the back of the house is the only thing getting any heat. The radiator right there in this end of the living room, the radiator in the playroom, the radiator in the back bathroom upstairs, in the little hallway, the back hallway upstairs, and then Mike's room, that master bedroom's the only one that has two radiators in it. That's getting to heat to both of them, and one radiator in the kitchen, which is trying its best, but that's the north corner of the house. That's also got the porch roof that's got the big hole in it where the raccoon goes up, so cold air just goes right into that ceiling, which is also part of the reason my bedroom's so cold, because that's my floor. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 radiators. 6 radiators in a 10-room, 3-floor house that are getting heat, and those 6 radiators are all at the back 1/3 of the house. So the second guy who came was an older gentleman with more experience, and he managed to patch the leaks in the firebox. He reinforced it with some steel rod, which he said it's an old way of doing it, and technically it's not technically it's not something that should be done, but this is an emergency case. So well, my son is working 3rd shift, so I will be sleeping in his room tonight, and then when he gets home at 7, he'll wake me up. It depends on how my knee feels. While my room is cold, I am only cold until I get under the covers, because I sleep with a heating pad on that right knee to help make sure that doesn't stiffen up, and that's been working great. And the heating between the heating pad being under the covers and the fact that I have 2 wool blankets and I don't think that fleece does anything for me, but having 2 wool blankets over me and the flannel sheets, that seems to help. I'm only cold once I get out from under the covers in my room. My room, the heater was actually turned off when I was a kid. That wasn't my room then. But it was turned off because it leaks into the dining room ceiling. So my father's infinite wisdom was not to get it repaired, but was to literally just turn the knob and shut the flow off to it, which of course kind of messes up the flow to any other radiator. So I do have space heaters. There's one in my bedroom. There's one in the kitchen. There's one in Gary's room. And sometimes I steal the one in the kitchen to sit it next to me. So, yeah, I'm glad I have those flannel sheets. Mike and I just bought flannel sheets in December for each of our beds. And he's always complaining that his room is so warm this winter. Well, yeah, because his room's on the good loop that was getting most of the heat. So, so now it's a waiting game. The heat is kind of slowly getting through part of the house, because they suggested that since there are 4 radiators upstairs that are working, all in a small enclosed part of the house, to put a small fan in the hallway and have that on low, just constantly blowing the air out to the rest of the hallway. So upstairs right now is better. I don't need more space heaters. One, there's not a lot of space here, in case you might have missed that. But I also have to consider that my electric bill is going to be through the friggin' roof. And that's going to be an issue for me. The other issue is they have to be able to get to all of the radiators, because they're going to need to check all of them, because when they repressurize it, you don't want to risk of too much pressure popping the radiator. all old radiators, though I don't think anything here would pop because my father painted them all with thick enamel paint, which is not good for a radiator. But all radiators have this plug somewhere on the side, one end or the other. And that plug is supposed to pop if the pressure builds too much. So they have to be able to get to them all. Well, the other end of the living room, the front end of the dining room, it's going to take some doing to get to them. We can get to everybody else. Cannot even get into the spare bedroom. So we're looking at I was sitting here tonight trying to figure out how to swing it to rent a storage unit. Mike said he's got half if I can figure out half. So I am going to take $80 from what many of you have so graciously donated, and I'm going to put that towards getting a storage unit tomorrow so that we can clear away to those other three, because there's no room here to just take what's there and move it. We just don't have that space yet. But the benefit of that, we figured if we got a storage unit and signed the contract for 2 months, and that way it would give us space for us to really start sorting through some of the stuff that just came in boxes that I don't even really know. I have talked to Philly Flipper a couple of times since we're kind of near each other. Kindness counts. It's not so much hoarding. It's what happens when 3 people die and leave you their entire estate. And you know, when this is all from one storage unit that it got down to just one, and we looked at getting one of the pods, and the pod will actually cost us more than 2 months at one of the local storage units, because one of the local storage units is running an offer that for the first month is $1, but you have to sign up for at least 2 months. So the first month, so March will be $1, and I think there's a $25 processing fee. So it'll be $26. And then we have to pay for the next one, you know, for April. Oh, hon, I do donate some of the items. Whatever I think I can't sell. I've been selling off a lot of this stuff for a long time. But you know, when I had a job that paid $32,000 a year, I had a storage unit. So I inherited 3 storage units and a full house that had 10 rooms. Got a lot of that cleared out, sent all the big stuff to auction, donated a bunch. Kindness is just being an ass, so I'm not worried about it. Kindness is not being kind, so you assume they know me. And like I said, I have donated some, but you know what? When you end up downsized out of a job and you're 50 and nobody wants to hire you when you're over 50, you do what you can to make a buck, and I sell a lot of it. But that takes time. Unfortunately, that takes a lot of time, but it's paid the taxes for the last couple of years. It helped get a tree down. It's helped with car repairs. Yeah, he's probably a troll, but you know, there's a lot of new people that have come to the channel who just, you know, they're going to see Warehouse 13 behind me and they're going to make assumptions. The problem is that I inherited from 3 different people who did just keep a lot of stuff. And that's the problem. Yeah, when I first started this, that pile literally, I couldn't turn the chair around because the pile was to here. You know, there's been progress, and there's, you know, there's stuff out of another room that you guys haven't even seen yet. That's we've gotten that room 3/4 empty with the stuff that you've seen and that I've put on eBay, or stuff that I've just donated. I've put a few bigger things on Facebook Marketplace, and then they just sat there, most of them. But part of that's the area I'm in. So I keep moving forward. And for anybody who, you know, suddenly gets handed a lot, I mean, My sister once said, well, why don't you give it back to them? And I just very politely asked her, how do you give it back to a dead person? So, so a lot of us are in this boat. We've got grandparents or parents that have a lot of stuff that, some places the answer is donate it all. But what do you do when your only donation place that's still open is Goodwill and they say, well, we aren't taking any more donations? Well, then what? So, but it is still a way in a time, especially in a time when so many jobs have been lost or downsized or cut hours like mine. I look at this as it's all a resource. It's all a resource. So for right now, though, I got more stuff and not enough time. 2 years ago, it can be very hard, Grace. It can be very hard. See if your husband will start with just going to the unit to just take a look. I inherited 3 storage units, and I was very close to my mom, and I was holding her hand right at the end. And so it was very hard. I shut down from depression for about 3 years. I just couldn't face it. And it was hard, especially as too, I'm also living in her house. So I'm seeing stuff all the time. And it was really hard. TFA net, people don't realize is that sometimes that could be just from that maybe you got rid of it too fast, which many people do, and then they realize there was something they wanted to keep and they forgot. Oh, thrifting adventures, sweetie, a month ago, it's too soon. I was an orphan by 41, hon. If you lost your dad only a month ago, don't worry about those shoes. Don't worry about those shoes at all. They're right now, if they give you any comfort, you hang on to them. So, how do I do this? No. There we go. But it is tough. And my father's death was sudden. He was only 67. I was 30. He had an aneurysm. So, yeah, it's that's the thing too. Yes, we all grieve differently and we all have a different timeline. My brother Gary, I think he would have done himself in if we hadn't found a grief group for him. And for me, I didn't want to talk about it. I dropped out of doing community theater. There wasn't a theater in this area I could go to where there wasn't a costume of hers that I wasn't going to see at some point, and especially in the Gilbert and Sullivan community. And I couldn't handle it. I just couldn't, because that was such a big thing we did together. I just couldn't. So it is tough. It is tough. Yeah, that's true. Old shoes make great planters on trees. So the for those who have just come in, the heater repair guys were here. The first guy that came was younger. He was just dumbstruck that the thing was still standing. He did what he could to clean it. He cleaned the nozzle. He checked all the things. He was surprised that it was running. But the second guy who came to see how it was running afterwards, he was an older gentleman, and he took a look at what the young guy had done, and he added a few things to stabilize the firewall inside so it wouldn't collapse some more in the meantime. And he found a few things. He did try rewiring the pump a little bit, but he couldn't get that sucker to work. So right now the only heat is in 6 radiators that are in the back 1/3 of the house. And Gary H., it's easy to say no when they're alive. It's not so easy to say no when they leave you the estate, because they're already gone. And a will is a legal document. And you don't always know it's coming. 2 of them did that to me. Didn't know that was coming. One of them's I'm in the house. Didn't know that was coming. But, we're getting there. And I really want to help people understand that no matter what point you're starting from, just start, a little bit at a time, if that's all you can handle. And, and my very first video, Gary H. talks about it. I inherited 3 estates from people who were major pack rats. Not to the level of like, this is a ungodly mess, because this is the catch-all end. The other end is stacks of boxes. This is kind of the end that looks the worst, but it's where the desk is. Tonight was a chit chat to just give everybody an update. I've got basically 5 to 7 days to get the way to the 3 radiators that we can't actually get to, which means at least half emptying 1 spare bedroom, which actually has all the stuff in it from me from when I moved back in. What I had is all in that room. So we're going to have to do that. I still will have my sale Thursday night. I did free up my schedule a little bit this week. I still have my heart doctor on Thursday, but I moved the cat's vet visit to next Wednesday. So that'll give me a little bit of breathing room to deal with things tomorrow. We did try to have an estate sale with my mom's stuff when it first happened. One of the problems came too, in that there were 6 of us kids. So everybody had to go through and get what they wanted, and being the end of the totem pole, I kind of got what was left. But yeah, but MJ, I actually, when my mother was still alive, and one of the times I got downsized out of a job, I actually used to do this for a living for 2 years. I actually helped people that were going into the county elderly assistance home to downsize, because everybody does it differently. But when you're trying to give up your house to have to go into an assisted care facility, it can be very hard on an older person, especially if they have no family. And the first thing you got to look at is that stuff you never really liked to begin with. Get that out of there. I had just started getting my mother to give stuff away, but Kendra Joe, what happened to Kendra Joe? Because I haven't been paying attention to the chart to that. I can't find it. And I see him saying goodnight to Katie. Katie's had a rough day. She needs to get some rest. And I'm not seeing Kendra Joe's. It must be way up here. Oh, 5 days old. Oh, darling, that is hard. Friend of mine lost her son, and the nurses were so sweet because he never left the hospital. He was only a few hours, and they made a point of giving her the blanket that they had wrapped in. But that was just like 2 years ago. Different places do different things, and it's so hard when you have nothing, sweetie. Katie's had a rough day. Katie's what's his name? Katie's guinea pig passed away today. He had some kind of a seizure, and she had quick ran him to the vet, and he didn't make it. Oh, Kendra. Yeah, there are no words for that. There's a song in the Broadway musical Hamilton, and they talk about it. It's called The Unimaginable, because that's what they talk about it about when you lose a child. It's the unimaginable because there isn't a word for it in the English language. Cappy, that was hers. So yeah, it's not easy. Another friend lost her 2-year-old son because the father shook the baby too hard, and he went to jail for it too. But okay, thrifting adventures. Good night. So, and pets, yeah, pets are family. But that's the basic update. I got a lot of work to do in the next 5 to 7 days. My brother was not happy to hear that his junk pile outside the house has to go. He scraps and brings home scrap to take to the junkyard, but he's it's been so cold, he's got an accumulated pile at the side of the house. But that's the side of the house that has a concrete sidewalk. Heaters are very heavy. They need to be able to go down that sidewalk to get the thing to the back of the house. And in the basement, I have to clear the way to have a 3-foot wide, at least, path from the heater to the exit of the basement at the back of the house. So that's the entire length of the house. So that has to be done. And I might be taking a saw to a big old wooden desk that's down there, because there's no way that thing's coming out of there except in pieces. So so that's the update. I spent today back and forth up and down the basement steps with the heater guys instead of up to the 3rd floor to pack. So I feel so bad that I still haven't gotten invoices out. I just hate that every time I turn around, it seems like something's pushing it further back, and it's very frustrating. So I do apologize for that, but we've at least got heat to 6 radiators, and they'll have to do for now. And we'll know in a couple of days. So keep praying, keep your fingers crossed that I get approved for them to replace the entire thing. If not, he's sure that they'll want to replace it, but I might have to pay for some of it. We'll see. And I'm gonna see about my son and I are splitting the cost to get a storage unit so that we can clear to the last 3 radiators that we don't have clearance to, because there's so much stuff in the way of those 2, especially that front room. It'll be interesting to see what's in that front bedroom, because I know all my stuff from high school's in there too. You might start seeing some 80s stuff show up in the sales. I know my Foot Locker's in there with all, my Foot Locker's in that room with all the letters from the old fiance. I think I need to get to that before my son does. The doctor's still been kind of really needy, and but she stopped wandering around looking for Gandalf finally. She's still kind of needy though. She's not liking the cold though. So she's gone in, but she's figured out who's got the warmer room. She's gone in to sleep with Michael. She's abandoned me, which is fine, because then she doesn't attack my feet. But she's going in and sleeping with him now. So I should get going, because I only get so many. It's been half an hour. I only get so much free time from StreamYard, and I gotta keep Thursdays in mind. MJ, I'm in Pennsylvania. I'm in the southeast corner of Pennsylvania. And oh, you're in New York? Sweetie, I am thankful I am not in New York, because we still had above freezing temperatures until last night. Last night, the wind came in, and wind to a house that's over 100 years old is not a nice thing. I'm below Philadelphia. Yeah. So you guys have a good, oh, Syracuse. It gets cold up in Syracuse. It gets very cold up there. Yeah. Somewhere up that way, a friend of mine has a family farm up in Syracuse. Her parents are still up there. I'm trying not to hurt myself doing too much because I still have to work Friday night and Sunday night at Wawa. And I have to be very careful of what I lift so I don't hurt anything else. I don't need any more headaches physically. And you guys all have a blessed night and hang in there. And for those of you who, I forget who now, said they had a storage unit from your father-in-law, it's okay. Just talk to your husband about just taking a look and seeing if they see anything that maybe the kids want as remembrances of their grandfather, if there are any. You'd be surprised sometimes. The grandchildren want stuff that the children don't. I've already passed stuff. I passed off, I think, more stuff to my mother's grandchildren than I had to my siblings. All right. So I will see you guys Thursday night at 11 p.m. I'll put this in as an offer up for you guys since you asked about the great. I mean, it is a great tin, and it's even got the lid, so it's a great Nabisco cracker tin. So I'll make sure that is in the live sale. We'll do it as an offer up, and thank you guys all so much for the moral support because it's really done a huge. It's done a huge amount, more than you guys can know if you don't suffer from depression. I mean, I'm on medication, but sometimes the meds just aren't enough. And knowing that you feel like you have people who believe in you can do an immense amount of good for someone like me. So I thank you so very much and bless you all who have Trisha, especially who started it with her video about donating to the heater fund. Bless you all so much. For those of you who sent me something through PayPal, you just have no idea how much you have humbled me, and I am so grateful. So you guys have a great night. I will see you Thursday for a live sale, and I do have to get up to that third floor at some point tomorrow because I need to. I don't think there's a problem up there, but I need to double check. There is a radiator up in the packing room, and I need to make sure they can get to that. So I have to be up there. So I might as well see what else I can pack and get it out of here. All right. Good night, everybody. And thank you again. Bye.